Hello everyone, welcome to Eurostar Committee Podcast. We are at the Eurostar 2025 at Edinburgh, and I'm very, very lucky to have Michael Bolton with me as the speaker for today. So would you like to tell our audience something about you? Maybe we have some people who are new to Eurostar, new to QA. You are a very famous person, but I will leave you to introduce yourself to them.
Okay. My name is Michael Bolton. I've been a tester for almost 64 years because we're all born testers,
Yeah.
right? Yes. I first got a job called software tester after having been a developer for a couple of years and then having been a customer support person for 3 or 4 years. I finally got a job called tester, and that was wonderful. That fairly quickly turned into a job called program manager, which for me, at least from my perspective,
Yeah.
my approach towards managing a product was to recognize that my first job was to try to help make sure there were no problems in the product so that the people who were using it weren't affected badly by it, and that they
Yeah.
only got the good stuff from it. So that meant I had to be hyper alert to problems that would threaten the value of the product and problems that would threaten the
Identify the risk and
and to identify things that would threaten the on-time successful completion of the project. So.
And how do you move from a program manager to be where you are now, being a speaker, being somebody who's very famous, who's well known for quality, writes lots of books?
Well, I haven't written lots of books. I've contributed to a few, but I will not be able to say I've written a book until the fall. When James and I, James Bach, my principal colleague, when we finish our book, which is called Taking Testing Seriously, the Rapid Software Testing Approach. We're working immediately after this conversation. I'm going to a writing session with James, and we're hoping to have the whole thing wrapped up by the end of this weekend.
Wow, what a hectic
it's a lot.
life. So,
Yes.
coming back to Eurostar conference,
Yes.
right? I know that you have been in almost every Eurostar conference.
19 in a row.
19 in a row.
Since 2007 was my first, and so 2025, it's a zero-based thing. We're at year 19 now. So next year will be number 20.
Which is a big birthday for Eurostar.
Is it? Because I thought 30 isn't Eurostar 30 years old this year?
30 years old?
I think so. I'm not sure. I wasn't here at the beginning.
Okay.
So not like some people.
Okay. So what makes you want to come to Eurostar conference every year then? Because to be able to do it for 19 years is quite an achievement.
Well, it goes both ways. Eurostar provides me with a really big community, a kind of family of people who are eager to hear stuff about testing, and I teach classes and workshops and speak as a track talk or keynote in ways that people seem to find helpful. So I'm lucky enough that they keep inviting me back every year.
Yeah, because you do such a good talk. Yeah, and I do agree with you about the Eurostar committee here. They are very humble, and we network very well, and we get to see people who are very top leaders like you in quality side, and we have like people who just new to QA. They want to learn about QA, so they come to this conference. So can you give me some insights about this year, your speech, your tutorial? Some,
I did two.
Thing for our audience here.
Sure. I did two tutorials this year. One was on risk, how to think about risk.
Yeah.
Oh, you were there, that's right.
Yeah.
You were in the room.
And
Our
there's
whole
a lot
job.
of hand-on exercise too.
Yeah, we try to do that. That's part of our approach because people learn the best when they're actually doing stuff, as opposed to listening to somebody yammer, which I can do too much myself. But the exercises are the most important part of our approach to teaching and training testers. But because what we want is we want people to learn, And to a certain degree, there's some things that are much easier to learn than they are to teach. So we try to get people into immersive exercises and
Focusing on the risk part, yeah?
yeah, and the risk exercises that we did yesterday were just about how to think about risk and how to model risk in terms of this basic idea. This is how thinking about risk goes, folks.
Yeah.
Something bad might happen
Yes.
that affects somebody in a not nice way. The product does something that it shouldn't do or doesn't do something that it should. And there are sets of conditions under which it may or may not exhibit some kind of undesirable behavior. But ultimately what we're doing is we're trying to help our clients, our testing clients, the developers and the managers and so on. We're trying to help them look good by trying to identify ways in which the software might not be what they thought it was.
Yeah.
So in order to do that really well, we've got to anticipate various ways in which it might not do the things it's supposed to do, might do things it's not supposed to do, and more importantly, how it affects people. Because if the product does something it's not supposed to do and it doesn't harm anybody, no problem.
Yeah.
So that's the essence of it, a 4-part story. A vulnerability
Yeah.
in the product gets triggered by some threat
Yeah.
such that a problem, excuse me, a little bit decrepit today.
No worries. Yeah.
Such that a problem affects some person or group
Yeah.
of people. That's what we're here for as testers.
Yes.
We're here to shine light on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's why I enjoy about the tutorial. It's like give me a model that I can replicate it back into my workplace, so I can share with my other QA team members how to do that.
Yeah.
And how about your speech then?
What's that?
How about the second part of your stuff?
Oh, the other workshop was on, it's called Let's Test an LLM. And
That part is about AI, right?
about a large language model based on machine learning models and that these tools these days that generate large bodies of text that look like human speech.
Yes.
And they're not. And one of the things that we have to be constantly on guard for is the difference between what looks good and what is good, because those are key differences. The general theme of the workshop was, what we're looking at is magic boxes.
Yep.
A magic box is something we define as something whose behavior is neither controlled nor understood nor can otherwise be considered safe.
Yeah.
That's the essence of what a magic box is. All right. Which leads us to the first heuristic of magic boxes, which is, if something is very important, don't rely on magic to get it.
Okay.
That's the first heuristic. Second heuristic is, if something matters very much,
Yes.
and there's no other way to get it, you might as well try magic.
Okay.
But that leads to the third heuristic, which is, if something matters very much, and you're trying to use magic to get it,
Yeah.
there's a question that you can't ignore. And that question is, did it do a good job?
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing in a lot of places is, you've heard of vibe coding.
Yeah.
What we're seeing is a lot of vibe evaluation, vibe testing, which says, well, looks good. Let's go. Let's just
But is it
start. Let's leave it at
reliable?
that.
Yeah.
Is it reliable? Is it dependable? Is
we
it
trust it?
consistent?
Yes.
Can we trust it? Exactly. And the fundamental, there are a bunch of fundamental problems associated with LLMs, but one of them is they are always imprecise. They're always inaccurate to some degree. They are always generating something new. Every time we issue a prompt, notice you never get exactly the same result. which can be okay
Yeah.
if you want to write a haiku about antelopes.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to write a haiku about antelopes, if you, for example, want to generate test data that needs to be reliable,
Yes.
or if you want to generate a strategy that needs to attract your attention to important things, then it's a bad idea, I would say, to depend on magic.
Yes.
What you can do, much more safely it seems to me, is to use these things as lenses or mirrors onto your own thought process, onto how you think about things.
Be a good magician that can practice very good magic.
Well,
Find the right magic tools.
well, remember that the whole idea about magic practiced by musicians is it's fundamentally deceptive.
Yeah.
You know, these things that look like they're happening are not really happening. There's a terrific blog post that if you read nothing else about LLMs and how they work,
Yeah.
they work in exactly the same way that a cold reader, cold readers, tarot card readers and palm readers and psychics and those kinds of people, those things work because of the investment that the subject, the client, puts in the tarot card reader and what the tarot card reader is saying.
Yeah.
What happens with LLMs a lot of the time?
Give them the data to train, right?
Well, they've got, you ask them for something and they tell you something. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it. Maybe the tarot card reader puts down the Hanged Man. Three cards of the Hanged Man. I don't know how tarot cards are actually, decks of tarot cards are arranged, but you put down the three, I don't want that.
Yeah.
So then you ask for another 3 deals, and it's, the 3 death cards or something like that. And then finally, the tarot card reader puts down 3 cards that look good, and you say, okay, that's all right. But let's just remember, you're filling in the gaps.
Yes.
And so what happens with LLMs is when it leaves stuff out, people say, "Oh, come on, it's just an LLM. It's not supposed to be perfect or anything like that." But when it produces something that looks really good, people tend to fall asleep on that.
Yes.
And they don't tend to question what they're looking at. They don't look at it very closely. And if you look at it closely enough in large enough volumes of data, it's always messing up. And it messes up in subtle ways that are not always easy to see, not always immediately apparent. So we need to be able to look at these things hypercritically if what we're looking at matters very much.
Yeah, definitely. Because sometimes if we trust, into AI too much and let it take control over us, and we don't use our critical thinking and check it and double check it, it just will go pear-shaped. Yeah.
Plus, yes, it will go pear-shaped. We've also got to recognize the inherent biases in what we're seeing from it. We have to pay attention to those. Now, this kind of problem existed long before LLMs. A canonical example, it's like the Ariane rocket example of AI, was that time that Amazon said, wow, we got a great idea. We're going to figure out what kind of people are going to make the best sorts of Amazon employees to be programmers.
Yeah.
And what did the AI produce as a result? White dudes between the age of 25 and 35.
Yes.
And how did it do that? Because it looked at the profiles of what Amazon employees in programming were. And they're already white dudes, 25 to 35, which means that systematically they would ignore people who weren't white, and they would ignore people who weren't dudes.
Yes.
And that is, mercifully, they recognized it fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But, you could see it coming if you bothered to think about how it was trained. So the training data, how the system was trained, how the product was trained, especially with LLMs, which are trained on the whole internet. Now, of course, we know what a reliable, dependable source of information the whole internet is.
Comes from, right?
Yeah. So Our critical thinking, our bullshit detectors have to be turned up to the max, because these things do actually produce the academic class of bullshit. Academics describe bullshit as text that is uttered with no regard for the truth.
Yeah.
So these things don't have a concept of truth. They don't have a concept of ethics.
Yeah. Or what is right, what is wrong.
Right. But they produce stuff that is shaped like what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Not is what you're looking for, but it has the appearance of what you're looking for. And so we've got to be super attentive to the possibility that it did not do a good job, that it was biased or selective in terms of the algorithms that produced its output.
Yep.
And look, if we are super vigilant, these things could potentially be useful.
Yes, definitely.
But I don't want to forget all the ways that we had beforehand of doing good testing work
It's our
that use
instinct,
deterministic
right?
tools.
Yeah.
Well, it's magic, and we're getting a lot of pressure from management and so on. Use the magic boxes.
They rate faster, test faster.
Well,
If somebody can do
is
it.
testing going to be faster if we have it generate enormous volumes of stuff? Yeah, the generation of the stuff is faster, but let's remember two things. Testing is not about artifacts. Testing is about learning.
Yes.
It's evaluating a product, looking for risk, with the intention of finding problems, and evaluating a product by learning about it through experiencing, exploring, and experimenting. Now, a lot of people say, oh, this is going to be great. Well, we've got machinery that can generate all this data. But if it takes effort and time to scrutinize the data, to make sure that we got what we wanted, to make sure that it did a good job, the payback for that
Yes.
might not, it might be negative,
Yeah.
right? These things produce so much stuff that, so much stuff that is guaranteed to be unreliable, that maybe it's not worth it. If we want to generate a data for testing, maybe worth it to write a program that does it.
Yeah. Just don't over-engineer it. Just don't, just stick a AI just because everybody is using AI.
Oh, it's nuts. There's nothing new about that in that sense, because we were hearing exactly the same things about automated checking and these tools that do end-to-end testing.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, the end-to-end testing that they're talking about is focused on clicking buttons, typing keys, comparing the output to an expected or specified, presumably desirable result. But that's not what testing's all about.
Yeah, it's far more than that.
Yeah, it's about examining the possibility that some requirement is not going to get met for some person or persons who matter. And that's
and
a
we
big
cover
deal.
all the risk that, the risk resistance.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Michael. And for our audience out there, right, if they wish to know more about, testing and AI, especially your risk-based tutorials and about testing LMS, where can they find you then?
My website, DevelopSense.com.
You did well, Michael.
Oh, I know. Pretty well. Yes, exactly.
He has been, having a sore throat since day one. He did really well.
I've been running my little feet off and doing this. Anyway, DevelopSense.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. There is stuff on specific experiments that we've done. If you DevelopSense.com/AI-experiments, all in lowercase. But my stuff on LinkedIn is there too.
Yeah.
You can write to me at michael@developsense.com. And I love hearing from people. I love helping people to address issues, solve problems, make sense of things. That's what fulfills me and energizes me.
And we look forward to see your first official book written
Coming
by you.
soon.
Yes,
Coming
it's
soon.
not just a contributor. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gex, so much. It was lovely chatting with you. Thank you.
To see you again.
Yes.
My friend.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Adios.